How are we doing, folks? Howdy, Rex. Afternoon. Now I can offer my opinion on a game I know nothing about. God bless. I would expect nothing less from Twitch chat. I watched a little bit. I had Allie on in the background for a while. I was doing some stuff around the house. I don't know. I was like, I wanted to see new cards, but it's just like, it's so tough for me to get into, it's so tough for me to get into best of one. It's such a, even just watching it is such an unsatisfying format for me to watch. Hey, JM Pelly, thanks for the Prime support. Hope you're having a good one. We have here, this is Warhammer TCG, which is a paper and digital card game that released towards the end of last year. I've been playing a bit of on my phone. They had a Steam release earlier this year, and they just released a new set as well, so I've been poking at different ideas. They're going to be doing some paper tournaments that I might play in a couple of, because they're having one at Gen Con, which my wife and I go to most summers. Thanks, Belly. Well, I was like, the last part of your name looks familiar. I'm going to finish clicking this deck together really quick, and I'm going to play a couple of games. I don't know how long I'm going to be on for today. Today was like, normally I was gonna take the day off, but it's like, didn't have anything else to do this afternoon. I was going to play a little bit, so I figured I might as well do it on the computer and stream. What's going on, Sesso? Thanks for the 21 months. I appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, their desktop client is rough around the edges or a little bit crude, or whatever you want to call it. It's like a direct port of their mobile client. So like what you see here on your screen is like exactly what you'd see on a cell phone, just scaled up. So it's not perfect, but it's got good gameplay, which is ultimately what I care about. And it's better. At least they have it. When they originally released, the company that makes this is a smaller studio, one called PlayFusion, and they originally only had a mobile client, and they finally released a PC port earlier this year. Yeah, crafting's opened up for this set, so I finally have access to all the cards. Hey, what's going on, Jace? Yeah, when I had streamed this a little bit last year, we actually streamed it using an Android emulator, so it's nice to not have to use an emulator anymore. They've done a good job going across different platforms. They just released the app on the Nintendo Switch as well, which is interesting. The first card game on that platform. Alright, what exactly do I want to do? I want a couple more spells for this dork. I think this is the other idiot I want here. Hey, Strife, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. The deck building in this game is really interesting. Yeah, there's 3 sets out for this game now. They just released their third. The deck building aspect of it has a lot going on, which is one of the things that's interesting to me. Because like one of the most interesting parts about card games is the deck building, I think, and like that's one of the reasons why Hearthstone never really held my attention, because the deck building's kind of shallow in that game, the way the class system works. Every deck in this game consists of 4 champions that have these various point values that you have to have under a total of 20. So that's one aspect of combination of things you have to make. And then the actual cards you're putting in your deck have to meet certain criteria for these quests around the corners, generally speaking. So you can flip up the powerful blessing cards under them. There's some decks that like ignore questing their champions, but generally speaking, most of the good decks quest the champions at least a little bit. Speaking of champions, I'm not quite sure if I want to play this dork or if I want to play Lochian Prince. I might even just want to try 2 of this. This guy's really, really interesting because you can quest him kind of quickly. So if you play Trample Underfoot on... No, that doesn't work. I was thinking of something else. What was I thinking of? I'm mixing my cards up. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I was going to put cards in a deck and then jump in. Yeah, the Warband packs are interesting. That's something kind of similar to what Pokemon TCG does, in that they like balance the sets a little bit with supplemental set releases, which is neat. This deck probably needs some more spells in it if I want to play spellcasters. One of the neat things about this game, if you're someone who's from my Magic audience that plays paper as well, is that the way this card game works is if you buy paper cards, every card has a unique code on it. You can scan it into the digital app. So if you buy a physical card, you get the same card digitally, which is a neat shtick or appeal, depending on what you call it. My plans for streaming this weekend, anything special to PT? Yeah, you can always find my schedule on my website. The TLDR is that I'm planning to do 8 to 10 hours tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And then Friday and Saturday, because the Mythic Championship's going on, I'm not starting till noon. Because noon means it'll be about 5 o'clock in London where the PT is. So I'll be starting like right before they finish or thereabouts. Hey, Oreo, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, I'm going to load a couple more spells up in here. Will do, Vile. Thank you. I just started filling in some of the stuff for the new set, which seems sweet. Yeah, exactly, Tron. I was like, I went to the gym and I went and got the oil changed on my car, and I was like, what am I gonna do this afternoon? Like, Christy had done a bulk of cleaning the house last night. I was just looking around. I was like, there's nothing to do. I'm gonna play a little bit of Warhammer, and I was like, oh, if I'm gonna play it, I might as well stream it. This card's really sweet. I've seen in other decks. Looks at the top 4 and it grabs a unit and a spell from among them. So I probably want to put a couple more spells in here so I don't miss on that half of it too often. Yeah, I think this card's sweet, and like the removal corner is probably not too hard to make happen with copies of Beatback. I might even just want to max out on Beatbacks. Beatback helps quest the Lucian Prince quickly too. This guy quests really fast. I might want 1 or 2 more elves to make that happen, but I think I want like 1 or 2 more spells and then 1 or 2 elves. This card's interesting. I'm still not how to evaluate these move units to their hands. Like, there's a lot of units in the game that like do something on their first corner, but like this type of effect is like really good against units that don't do anything on their first corner. Reduce damage received from highlighted enemy units by turn, highlighted ally spells. And like cards like this are awkward because like the ones that only reduce damage from specifically units are like much worse than Righteousness that just reduces damage from everything they do, right? I don't think I'm a fan of this. Hey Seth, howdy. Like what's the last spell I want? I want to play Beastly Leap as one of my... So one of the deck building restrictions that this game has is that there's these 3 factions, Gur, Giran, I'm really bad at Warhammer lore, whatever these things are, Agishi, something. Some things translate between games, I don't know how to pronounce these things. And you can only have one of these 3 types of factions. So like these are all neutral cards, so like all 4 of the Warhammer factions can play them. Then there's these types within them that you only play one of them. So if I play the Gur Blessing, I can't play the Agishi spell. Hey, what's going on, Paula? Howdy. Yeah, I was like, I want to play something. I don't know what. Are there Space Marines? No, the game is only fantasy based. That's all I know about Warhammer. I think some of these could just be okay. Removes a unit on 2, which also helps trigger the first corner on Prime. This card's also not terrible. Highlighted champions may use abilities while doing this. Reduce damage from enemy abilities. This feels like more of like a sideboard card though. This could also be okay. Reduce damage, gain life, draw cards. I do enjoy drawing cards. Just takes a little bit to turn through. I'm gonna put 2 of these in, and I'm gonna grab 1 more elf, I think. Pyro does the first. Oh, it does do both, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a good call. So that card's really good with this because the second and the second corner removes and then the third corner deals damage. Yeah, that's actually a great catch. Yeah, that's definitely the extra spell I want. I might even want 3 of these and less Light of Sigmar. I didn't think about that it was doing 2 corners. Be descriptive with the name. So the big mechanic in this game that the cards do that go across champions and cards is that the cards rotate. So most of the spells and units that you play out rotate each turn. And then the champions, as you take specific game actions, they rotate as well. The resource system in this game is kind of unique, and I really like it. It's an interesting way to have to manage things. So the resource system in this game is each player gets to take 2 actions each turn. And your actions include things like drawing cards. So, unlike Ooh, I actually, and this is my first time playing with this deck, so obviously just put it together. I wasn't thinking about it. So some of the things in this game are positioning based. So for instance, this card has an ability that once per game it can remove spells across from it. So you see how it has the 3 red boxes there. So that means it impacts this zone, and this zone when it can remove spells. So I probably should have put this here because this guy can't put spells down. So if they have a spellcaster, they might hide him over here. Although they just put him directly across from him, so that's kind of a good thing for me, I suppose. Each player has 4 of these champions they put across, and the game's played on these lanes. And what's the word that I'm searching for? The lanes kind of dictate what your cards do. Like this one has an ability that impacts the lane across in kitty corner here. Oh, I was talking about the way the design space, the turn ordering works for the game. So each turn, each player gets to take 2 game actions, and your game actions include drawing cards. So my opponent actually just didn't do anything on their first turn, and they just passed, drawing 2 cards. I think I'm actually going to do the same here. So ideally, I want to play a unit here and a unit here to start, because the first corner, the corner that you're looking to quest on, is always in the top left. Yeah, my hand's not doing anything on its own right now. It's waiting for what my opponent to make plays. So I have 3 cards here, these triumphant smashes and these tactical removals that are all removal spells, basically. So the top left corner here on this guy is play an ability. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Silent Communion here, which is an ability. So when I play this, you'll see me complete this corner, and it turns to the next one. So this shows my opponent the top 4 cards of my deck, and then I see them, and I get to take 1 unit out of these cards to draw, and I get to take 1 spell, of which I have both. So there's a unit, and there's a spell. I need to put the other ones on the bottom of my deck. And then I don't really have anything I want to do, so one of the things you want to do when you get set up with a deck like this is that the way these champions work is, in this game, it feels like you kind of get ahead whenever you can complete 2 corners of your card with a single card. So, for example, if you play a unit to complete this corner and then play an ability before your unit deals its damage, your unit will complete corners 1 and 3, which is valuable. I've actually been really impressed with tactical formation in this format, and this is why. So, tactical formation here is a piece of removal, but it forces me to rotate one of my opponent's other cards. And cards like this that don't want to be rotated is I basically get to 2 for 1 my opponent here, because this card doesn't do anything if it gets rotated off. So this tactical removal removes this, and it rotates this one off. There's definitely matchups in this game where tactical removal is just better than the triumphant smash. There's other places where it's worse, but I think it's better in a lot of positions. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and play this Light of Sigmar here. So the orange corner just means deal damage. So this is a spell card that also deals damage. It deals 4 when it comes down. And the object of the game is, like most games, is just like reduce your opponent's health total to 0. What does this thing do? Oh, this is at the start of your turn, if this champion is disengaged, you can put a risen unit, and then this thing says it deploys a risen unit when it comes out. Sure, so it gets this back. That's annoying. I guess I should have read what they were doing. I was just excited to have things to remove. Trigger the current effect on highlighted risen. So it just deals damage again? Sure. So This guy here has completed 3 of his quests, so if this deploys a spirit unit next turn, it's going to get to kill my thing. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Pyro Electric Blast here. And the reason why it's appealing to play this out here is this way, this corner my opponent knows it's gonna rotate to this corner next turn, which removes their unit. So if they deploy a unit here to complete their last quest corner, this is going to go ahead and remove the unit that they play, so they'll only get 1 effect from it. Yeah, I am the one who built the new Abzan hero deck in the queue. And I don't think I want to play anything else here. This is going to deal another damage to me. I'm going to wait a turn to play the Hurricane Raptor here, because the Hurricane Raptor explicitly prevents my opponent from deploying things. So I want to wait until this is ready to rotate off to lock them out of deploying things then. So they're just passing their turn and drawing a card. So now I'm going to go ahead and deploy the Hurricane Raptor here, which triggers the second corner of playing a Stormcast unit and deals damage. And now my opponent won't be able to deploy anything on this for the next 2 turns as long as this is across from it. So this card says the champion across from it can't deploy things. I think I'm just going to draw a card here. My deck might be low on abilities to play. That's one of the things you have to balance, especially if you're trying to quest in your decks, is like trying to balance out like how many abilities your deck is playing versus how many of the other cards that we have a good mix of being able to quest your champion. So like I have units to play on these guys, but I don't really have abilities that are proactive to play out on them. Oh, that's kind of brutal. So this does 4 damage to me and then makes me shuffle 2 cards from my hand back into my deck. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle this one and this one back in. I want to hold this. I want to hold the spell here because the spell is going to complete the last quest on this corner. This card is really strong. So this card deals 3 damage and it prevents my champions from rotating. So this guy, even if I deploy a unit here, it won't complete a quest. This does damage. I think I want to go ahead and deploy this here, even though it's not going to complete the quest, because this prevents damage from the space directly across from it as well as the one kitty corner. So this is going to prevent 3 from here and 2 from here. So it's basically like a gain 5. And then I think I'm just going to draw a card. They figure out the best way to buy paper singles. I actually haven't looked yet. I know CSI stopped stocking them, unfortunately. That's where I had been buying singles from previously, so it's kind of sad. So they're just drawing again here. So now this guy rotates, and on his second corner, he deals damage. So this says the first corner prevents damage up to 3 from the other ones, and then on the second corner, it deals damage. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy my Pyretic Blast here, which completes my last quest, and it's appealing to deploy this one here, because when it turns, it'll remove a unit. My opponent wants to deploy a unit here. My Blessing just deals 7 damage straight up. So I have removal to play here that could complete this quest, except this Thorn of the Briar Queen is here, which prevents this champion from rotating. So I can't quite complete this quest yet. I think I'm going to go ahead and deploy this Razor Shell here, because it makes units across from it dormant, which means they don't do anything. So my opponent doesn't really want to deploy something here, because this is going to remove it, which means they want to deploy something here or here, and this will prevent them from deploying it here. Oh, that is how that works, isn't it? I forgot about that. So this is a weird interaction. I might actually be dead here. If they can deal 6. This thing deploys a unit at the start of their turn. Is that exactly lethal? I think it's exactly lethal, right? Because it does 2, 5, 6. So it triggers both of these. I guess I should have played... I probably win that if I play the barrier guard on the right. If I'd have played the barrier guard on the right instead of the dormant one. Yeah, it was actually probably way better to deploy the barrier guard to the right. Because if I deployed the barrier guard to the right, it would have prevented damage from the thing across from it and the one kitty corner. And preventing damage from the thing is similar to making it dormant. I should have been aware that they were going to get that thing from their bid. I could have looked at their discard pile. And then the following turn, I would have been able to complete the ability quest on my second lane, which had a chance to kill my opponent. What's going on, Big Mama? Woo. Alright, so there's 4 factions in this game. I'm playing Order. My last 2 opponents have been playing Death now, but this is actually a different Death deck. So the player that goes first deploys 1 champion, second player deploys 2, first player deploys 2, second player deploys 2, first player deploys their last one. This unit usually indicates like an ability burn style deck. Nope, not that. This is interesting. A spell or unit controlled by this champion is removed a highlighted spell or unit. Okay. And this is a spellcaster, so the blue border indicates a spellcaster. So it's good to deploy this dork across-ish from here because it can remove spells. Yeah, the fact that this game doesn't have an overlay makes it is unfortunate. Although I think we're going to be streaming Arena without an overlay tomorrow because Deckmaster still hasn't been updated. Silent. This opening hand's much better than the last opening hand that we had. One of the things, well, to be fair, that's more of, how is starting like total determined? That's a good question. So, each player, that's one of the ways they balance the champions that you put in your deck. So, each deck starts with a base 30 health total, and then your champions, the green number on these is the points it counts towards, and the red number is the health modifier. So I have 3 that modify my health by 0, and I have 1 that modifies my health by -1, so I start at 29, and my opponent has a +2, a +2, a +1, and they actually have another +1, but 35 is the maximum. So 35 is the highest you can go. Green Black Elves hasn't posted a tournament result because it's one of 1,000 different decks that's reasonable. Oh, that sucks. I didn't hit a unit in there. That's unfortunate. So this card's supposed to be good because it generally gives you, it draws 2 cards. I already had 2 units in my hand. That's kind of unfortunate. There's 7 units in my deck. So we missed on 7 units and 25 cards. And I don't really have anything that I want to play here. So I think I'm just going to pass. My opponent is just drawing lots of cards. Yeah, it was like, it replaced itself and it completed a quest corner. So, like, it's not the end of the world by any means. I did slide 2 of my beatbacks to the bottom of my deck there, though, which is kind of annoying. The Hurricane Raptor here is good because if my opponent just keeps passing and drawing cards here, I'll be able to play the Hurricane Raptor on lane 3, which will complete quests 2 and 3. And then Righteousness completes the last quest to get this guy flipped up. I'm not quite sure what my opponent's doing. They could be, a number of the death decks that play these champions are like control decks that try to win the game by locking you out of actions and ducking you, which are a little bit tedious to play against. So again, I mentioned in the last game that I feel like I might not have a good balance of abilities in this deck. I might want 1 to 2 more because, again, I have a bunch of units in my hand to complete this first corner, but I don't have any abilities to complete the second corners on these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy the Razor Shell here, because this makes my opponent's unit dormant as long as this exists, and it's going to deal damage for the next 2 turns, so I have a chance to draw a card here and still hit an ability. Alright, yeah, that's a pretty good one. So while these are dormant, it has the Z's over, it just doesn't rotate. So this card basically just turns their card off, which is nice. They played a removal to get rid of my dork, sure. And then next turn, I'm going to get to deploy Righteousness here, which will complete this quest, which is nice. One of the things that's interesting about this game that I'm still not quite good at, because I definitely haven't played anywhere near as much of this game as I have Magic, obviously, is that figuring out who's ahead at any given point is different than Magic. Like, just like playing Magic, card advantage is something that matters, but card advantage almost feels like it matters more in this game than it does with Magic, because you're not drawing a card every turn. So in a way, the more cards you have in your hand, the more actions you kind of have saved up. So my first Blessing flipped up here, and most of these Blessing cards are much more powerful than the actual cards you can put in your deck, because you have to work to activate them. So this card draws me 3 cards over 3 turns and gains me 6 life over 3 turns, which is really potent. That's annoying. So it's going to gain them 7. This card gains them 2, and then eventually... Oh, I can just use this, can't I? Yeah, it's you know, first time playing. So I actually have pretty solid counters here, right? So this card removes a non-order unit. So I get to play this here. So they're going to get to gain 1 more life off of this dork, but they're not going to get to draw 2 cards, because this is going to kill it. And then I can activate this, my once per game, to get rid of their spell, which is sweet. And those are my 2 actions for the turn. And then this guy's actually getting set up here to be able to complete his quest here momentarily, because, or in 2 turns, because this is going to rotate and deal damage to kill this, which will complete this corner. And then I just need to play an Elf out here. Yeah, I played against the opponent's archetype once before, and it definitely made me wish that the version of this game that has sideboards was in the client, because it feels like the opponent's deck is really hard to beat with decks that aren't just like, with decks that are trying to be interactive, basically. Like, it feels like I'm playing a mid-range deck against a control deck, to draw a comparison to Magic, which is not a good feeling without a sideboard. Yikes. I missed on a unit again. I guess my hand has a lot of units in it. Poor little Silent Communion. I think I'll just take the Light of Sigmar here. So I'll get to complete... Yeah, it's basically a cheese deck, right? Like, anybody that can, like, board out their cards that are trying to be interactive probably destroys what they're doing. So I have kind of an interesting decision to make here. So this is going to remove my unit if I play it here, but playing the unit completes my quest. And one of the rules of this game is you can't play 2 copies of the same card in the same turn. So next turn, I could complete this if I play this here this turn. So I'm going to lose 2 damage because this is going to get removed, but it's going to allow me to complete this one and then open me up to complete this one next turn, which is nice. And then I think I just want to start spending all of my cards to deal maximum damage here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and slide this out here. I want to just start playing through my spells so I can like chunk through their health total. Because this one takes 2 turns to eventually deal 5. Hey, Infinite T, thanks for the 14 months. Welcome back. And Zentus, thanks for the 12. Have a sword to go with your shield. Thanks for keeping me around. So the way milling in this game works is the game asks you the question, hey, have you... It says, hey, have you taken a game action this turn? If your deck's empty and you took a game action, nothing happens. But if your deck's empty and you didn't take a game action that turn, you have to sacrifice a card or you lose. You do have the power. I'm not sure that was a blessing I actually really wanted here. Okay, I guess it drew me 3, which lets me remove this. Or do I want to remove this one? I might want to remove this one that's just gaining them 3 health here. That might be better. Rotate that one off, and then that happens. This is gonna mill me 2 cards though, and this is the thing that makes their deck really tedious to play against. Is their deck gains a bunch of life here, and I'm not sure that my deck just has enough raw damage output to like chunk through what they have going on basically before I run out of cards. So that does 5. I can deploy this here, which makes this dormant, so it's not going to gain any more life for them. And then I can go ahead and do this here to chunk them for 3. So this does 3, this does 1, and then I can do 4 or 5 next turn. So it depends on how much they're going to be able to gain here. One of the other things I have to be conscious of, these things say if they're at less than 5 at the start of their turn, they gain 1. So I have to like kind of chunk through that as well. Yikes, and that gains them 7. That gains them 7. So next turn, this deals 2. So they're going to gain 3 up to 11. This will do 2 down to 9. This does 3 total, which puts them to 6. This does 2, which puts them to 4. So if I play this plus this out, and they don't gain any life past this 3 next turn, I can chunk them out with the Light of Sigmar Ray, because this puts them to 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, kill you. Oh no, oh, I just put that in the wrong spot. Because this guy can't deploy these. Yikes. Alright, well. I guess I do this and hope to find another spell. Looking for Righteousness. Yeah, that's the one I want. Three copies of Beatback, which is basically useless in this matchup. Okay, well, if they can't remove my dorks, they're going to 10, and then these put them to 6, and then this does 4 plus 3 next turn, so they can gain 1, so Vampire no longer saves them. But they don't have removal. They don't have a removal spell for this. They're dead next turn. All right, sweet. So we win. So these each do 2. I'm not missing anything here, right? Damage can exceed 3. I've had games where like I just like forgot an ability on one of their champions and I don't actually end up killing them. And that's one of the things I do like about this game is because each player, oh, this does 1 extra too because they engage something. That's something that I've liked is because each player can only take 2 game actions per turn, you can generally know when they're going to be able to play cards that allow them to take extra actions. You can kind of count out like what they're going to be able to do, so you can work 2 to 3 turns ahead sometimes, especially if you're familiar with the cards the opponent's deck contains. Stuff is a great deck name, right? It's very descriptive. I think my action count is fine. This is 11 actions. I just like haven't been getting fortunate at them. Big Z Wine, thanks for the 19 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom for really quick, and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna play a couple more. Alright, I can untime you out. Thanks, Big. The beard is big. Get the big beard cam. Any of the build arounds you're particularly excited for? I like Abzan Hero got a lot of good upgrades. Yeah, and the fact that there's so many onboard tricks also makes it so like if you're playing well, you can predict and anticipate a lot of what you're doing. Beard stroke stream. I play so you can see the rules of this game. Yeah, the How to War command actually has a direct link to their quick rules. Their quick rules is like 2 pages. So if you're a Magic player in the audience who wants to get, let me make sure that still works. I said didn't confirm that. Yeah, it still works. So their quick play rules are like, it's like 4 pages because they're big pages. I don't know where else I want to deploy these dorks. I think I'm gonna put this here because this guy is likely to deploy units and this guy wants to remove units. It's a good mix. The Phoenix Wolf, thanks for the 16 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So for those of you that are new, this is the setup phase. We kind of go back and forth, taking turns doing stuff. 700-page version rules. They do have comprehensive rules on their website. The new God Eternal seems good too. This card's really powerful. It at the start of your first turn, you may deploy a Daemon unit from your deck or hand onto this champion. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen people deploy that one. Heroic act, gain health, or deal damage. Or are they like super aggro? And they're gonna activate this to chunk me for 4? Yeah, they are. That is a lot of damage very quickly. Oh, wow, that's actually super good on here. So again, completing quests quickly is something that you want to be doing. So they played an ability to deal damage on their first corner, and then they activated this to deal damage, and then I assume they'll activate this to heal. So I really don't want to deal any extra damage to them, because they're probably going to heal next turn. So I think I just want to draw 2 here as my first turn. Yay, Dougie, thanks for the tier 2. Welcome back. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me employed here. So this card doesn't explicitly do anything on its own, but you can spend an action to activate the Heroic Act. So they gained 4 there, which completes this corner, which actually means they're going to be able to complete this quest next turn, which is a little scary. I think I actually want to deploy, so I don't have a good ability to play here currently to make this quest go quickly, but I think I want to deploy Hurricane Raptors over here, because Hurricane Raptors prevent my opponent from doing anything on the lane that they're in while they're there. So this is basically going to lock my opponent out of doing anything on this lane for 2 turns, which delays them completing this quest. So a lot of the control and interactive cards in this game are like positional based, because there's no, you can't take game actions on your opponent's turn like in Magic, so it's like you're playing cards that proactively disrupt your opponent, essentially. Oh, that's true. This card does have a once per ability a game to remove stuff. I think that's fine, though. Like, if they wanted to spend this plus this to flip their quest over, I think I'm okay with that. Does this stop Heroic Acts? It does not stop Heroic Acts. I don't really have any great plays here, because this locks me out of playing things here, so I can't deploy my Aelf anywhere, because this and this are the only places those can go. I don't have any abilities to trigger this. Maybe I am light on abilities. I was counting these as abilities, but if my opponents don't have things in play, these don't really do anything. They could complete this quest next turn, because they could deploy a unit and deploy a thing here. So I have a ton of cards in my hand, but I haven't actually really been accomplishing anything so far this game, so I'm definitely a little bit behind at the moment. Yeah, the opponent had a very good start. To be fair, their start is kind of predetermined, because like this gets the thing it gets every game, right? So I think I'm going to go ahead and deploy this here, which is going to prevent this Dorko from dealing damage to me next turn, which is nice because this prevents 3, so this unit basically doesn't do anything next turn. And then I'm going to go ahead and Silent Communion here to complete my ability corner. And then this guy I'll rotate to deal damage to complete the damage corner, and then I can play an Aelf on it the last turn. So this, hey look, we actually get to draw 2 with it. Grabs a unit. Grabs a spell. Let's go on the bottom. So I assume we're going to see my opponent deploy a unit on this first lane to complete this quest. So hopefully this isn't anything too terrifying underneath. Some of the Chaos Blessings are really gross. If you have 15 life or less, increase damage by 3. So, okay, so this I can kind of prepare for, right? Like, I can know my opponent's going to do more once we get to that point. This card is an interesting deploy there. So this says, last stand, your opponent gains 2 life. It's a really powerful card, but if I kill this, I get to gain 2 life. I'm only doing MTGA tomorrow. This, if I kill it, it deals 2 damage to me. I think I'm just gonna Triumphant Smash here to remove this, and then I'm gonna Hurricane Raptors, which lets me complete through my quest real quick. So this gains me 2 life. Last stand means it triggers when it dies, and then Raptors means my opponent can't quest super quickly on here. I guess they could technically use this ability to punch through. But then, like, this, if they don't remove this with their Heroic Act here, this is going to deal 2 damage next turn, completing this quest, and I'm going to play an Aelf here to complete this one. Yeah, they have an actual PC client now. Although they redid their, what's it called? Their mobile client as well, so it is a right, yeah, I'm playing on Steam right now. So I'm going to play Razor Shell here, which makes this dormant. Which then flips up. Dealing, so like, this like kind of a double-edged sword. So I know which 4 blessings are in my deck, but I don't know where those blessings are positioned. So like, I knew that was either a card that drew cards or chunked them for damage. And the scary part about chunking them for too much damage is that once they get down to 15 or less, this is going to turn on and let them start dealing damage. I think I'm just gonna do this here to prevent them from wanting to deploy something here. So I want to chunk through their last little bit here in the next couple turns, basically. So this is gonna flip up to deal 5 in 2 turns then. And I've got 4 plus 3 here. Okay. So they did that to remove my units, that's fine. Next turn, I get to deploy Righteousness here, which completes this quest, and then this prevents 2 damage for a turn. Sure. So this will complete this quest, and this prevents damage from these 3 lanes, so it's going to prevent from this dork and this dork next turn. This gains me life and draws me cards. I was kind of hoping for the deal 6 there, so it feels a little bit bad. So that deals 3. And then this guy's one turn away from completing his quest. So I think I'm going to go ahead and deploy my Hurricane Raptors here. So that way they can't play anything on this lane to complete this quest this turn. So this chunks them down to 11. And then next turn I'm dealing 2 and 5, which is 7. So that puts them to 4. Which means that this is lethal next turn, assuming they don't remove this or gain health. They haven't played any removal spells yet, though, right? They've not played any removal yet. Okay, if they have a removal here, they could complete this quest. But they only have 1 more action, so it's pretty unlikely that they kill me here. So they're going to get to complete their quest. Alright, sweet. They're dead. These 2 just kill them. I don't have to do anything else. I have 4 over even. This guy's been really sweet. He quests relatively quickly. Hey, Kazarak, thank you for the 12 months. Really appreciate that. Have a sword to go with your shield. So keeping me around. Ooh, look at all of our missions. Almost done on the spellcasting one. I don't really have many unaligned cards in my deck, so probably not completing that one while playing this deck. Yeah, another thing too is like with the Sylvanth order deck going on, like being able to remove spells is relevant now too. Like there's more playable spellcasters in this one now. I enjoy this game because I've never experienced a blowout and almost every game seems competitive. Yeah, I think this game does a really good job of allowing you to make meaningful decisions in every game. It's something that I really like. There's variance in it still from the cards you draw and like where your blessings are positioned, but even you start making meaningful decisions in this game before you even play cards from your hand just by placing your champions and positioning them. I feel like I have an edge in matchups that I'm familiar with just by knowing like what their champion lineup is and how I want to position against them to like have the ideal start. How free-to-play friendly this game? I don't know offhand. So I bought a number of physical cards at Gen Con last year and scanned those in. So this is on Steam, Android, iOS, and Nintendo Switch. So if you have any of those, you can give it a download and try it out for free. If you play it on the computer or on a mobile device, you can. What is it? I have a command in here somewhere for booster cards. Yeah. So one of the interesting things they have is that, so if you click on this Twitter link, you'll find booster cards that I have that I got with the game. And if you scan those in when you're starting out, you can find other posts of other people who have booster cards as well. You can what's the one I'm searching for? You'll be able to get free stuff for scanning booster cards. Yeah, definitely, Pelly. Links are enabled. I think this is the burn deck, because this one, whenever they deploy, I'm pretty sure they put a Mordant champion here that's a spellcaster, and this is the burn deck I was thinking about earlier. Nah, relevant self-shills are the best ones, Pelly. I got Silent Communion in the opener. So this guy has an ability on the first corner, so we'll commune here. I have two of my 8 spells in my hand, so hopefully we don't brick on half of this. So we want to feed, this looks at 4 cards, we want 1 unit and 1 spell in here, ideally. I agree, Marty. I agree. I thought that was funny as well. All right, sweet. And we hit both. So here's a Storm Strike, and then I actually get to pick between these other spells that I want here. Do I want another Light of Sigmar, or do I want the Pyretic Blast? I think I actually want the Pyretic Blast because it makes this column really awkward, or this column really awkward for my opponent, this lane, because if they play a unit here, I get to play Blast or remove it and then deal damage. Yeah, I agree, Pelly. That's one of theirs, and I'm sure that's some kind of interface hiccup. I was actually going to mention that there's some weird interface hiccups still in the game that are like, I'm sure there are limitations within the Unity engine or whatever they're doing, but like, ideally it should let me make the decision while my opponent's looking at the cards. The way Communion works currently, my opponent gets to look at them before I even see them, and then like click OK. You know, honestly, it might have been right just to deploy this here last turn, just so I could work through And this is one of the balancing things you kind of have to strike, like, between, you have to figure out, like, what's the right mix of, like, working on your quests versus like just playing your cards and getting the damage off them. And again, I'm kind of struggling to hit abilities to play on these middle corners here for these guys. This is like the third game where I've talked about that being an issue, so I think I want to reassess my... 5 pieces of removal might be too many. Because, like, yeah, here's more abilities that are just removal. So, like, if these were, like, just, like, the deal 3s, they could probably be more useful. Alright, they played a thing. God bless. So, I don't get value off rotating my thing backwards here, but I get to complete a quest, which is nice. This unit here also makes any other future things they want to play out dormant, so it locks them out for a little bit on that lane. And they don't really want to play anything on this lane because the first corner here is removal. The deck queue's not fully done. I'm going to finish it out after I'm done streaming this for a little bit. But the first, like, dozen decks or so are done, Zentis. And have things linked in there. I think I'm actually just... So this card removes a unit when it pivots, but I think even though they're not going to deploy units now, I want to just play this to complete my quest corners. So this completes the Stormcast, and then this will deal damage and complete this one. And then the turn after, so 2 turns from now, I'll be able to play an elf here and a spell here and complete both of these quests. And I don't really have anything else going on here. My hand is kind of, like, already stacked, though, so I think I just want to start chunking them for damage rather than passing the turn. How many decks am I expecting to play tomorrow? I don't know. It depends on how they go. I'm planning to be live for, like, 8 to 10 hours, so probably somewhere between 6 to 10. If I'm feeling good after 10 hours, Matt offered to bring me lunch tomorrow while I'm working, so if that happens, I might go even longer. That's annoying. It makes me shuffle a card from my hand back into my deck. Is Black-Green Citadel a current deck for tomorrow? It is not. So I think I'm just drawing 2 cards this turn. Wait, am I? Am I? Maybe I'm just setting this up to chunk them out over the next 2 turns. Is that the case? No targeted discard is beautiful. The fact that you get to choose their Mind Rot style effects is great. So if I play this here, this deals 5 in 2 turns. And then this is setting up to deal 7, but this here will prevent 3, and this here will prevent 2, so this will only deal 2. So I think I just click OK here. I could deploy this here. Yeah, I'm actually going to deploy this here. So I'm just going to get set up to, like, chunk through these next couple of turns and deal a bunch of damage. I'm not sure if I'm going to fully deal 25, but, like, these quests, my quests either deal a large bit of damage or they draw me a card. And, like, either of those are good for me, I think. I did expose myself to the removal corner on this, which I think is fine. Because now this will encourage them to deploy stuff here, and I have a removal spell for that. Yikes. Alright, well, so much for the removal spell, because I want both of these because they complete these 2 quests here. I could activate this to remove this, but I think I'd rather just complete both my quests here, because this prevents 2 and this prevents 3, like I said, so this is actually only going to deal 2 points of damage, and I get 2 quests, and this one draws 3. My quests either draw cards or, oh, and it deals 3, because it deals 1 damage for each unit. That one does both now, and that does 3, and then I get to deploy this here. And then this is set up to chunk them for 5 next turn too. It's another one. I was kind of hoping to deal damage, but I guess this will do in a pinch. So this draws me 3 cards over 3 turns. And these preventions here get me set up to not take a lot of damage from their stuff, because this prevents damage on this lane as well, which is really nice. Okay, they're removing my deal 5. Probably smart. Do they have a unit to complete here? They don't. Okay, sweet. So that's good for me. So this deals 2. I gain 2 and draw a card. I feel like we're pretty far ahead at the moment. So I think I'm going to go ahead and communion here to complete this quest. Which I've drawn a lot of my units, so I wouldn't be surprised if I brick on half of this. Ideally, we want to see a unit and a spell, though. Wow, we missed on the unit as expected. And then this needs two more things to complete. This guy is close to completing its quest. So I'm going to go ahead and again deploy my Hurricane Raptors here, giving me that positional control I've been talking about, because this locks my opponent out of playing cards on this lane. It's really good, Brad. Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was like sitting waiting for my oil change to happen. I was thinking about the cards I wanted to put in here, and I think what I have here is like pretty cohesive. Wow, that's good too. All right, so now I just want to get set up super defensively, right? So I'm getting ready to flip this quest over here. I think I want to just go ahead and deploy Righteousness here. And then get this set up over here to chunk them out in a couple of turns. Because, like, this is going to flip. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this here. Which gives them a nice love tap. And then I do this here. And then, so this is one of the things that I really like about this game. Is that the blessings, I know which 4 blessings are in my deck, but I don't know where they're at necessarily, but I've already flipped up 2 of my 3 blessings here, right? So I know these 2 blessings over here are either the deal 6 gain 2 or the deal 7. So I can count on completing this for dealing at least 6 points of damage, which is great. All right, so what do I want to do here now? So they're at 12, and this deals at least 6. So this deals 3. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this here. I am worried about triggering these health gain on these, though, which is relevant. So I kind of want to, like, get set up to, like, Hadouken them in 1 turn. I want to prevent them from drawing cards with this, though, ideally. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this here to make this dormant. And then just draw a card. I might spend my next turn just drawing 2. And then the question is, like, what does this do here? So this requires them to, whenever they deploy a unit, it deals damage to me, and then it makes me discard a card. So now I have to discard a card. They have used 2 Devours, which is relevant, how much removal they have access to. So next turn, I'm dealing 2 here. And so that puts them to 9. And then this would deal 2 and put them to 7. The problem is this is going to flip up and deal a chunk to them, which is going to start triggering these guys to let them heal. I kind of want to get cards out of my hand, though, in case they deploy units and hit me with things. I think I want to take this and use the beatback to slide this to the right. So that way this won't make whatever I put here dormant. And then I think I want to just draw 2, because this gives me an extra action. It's basically a free card. So I think I want to draw 2 here, hoping to hit a spell. So I'm through how many righteousness? I'm through 1, 2. I'm through 2 righteousness and 1 light of Sigmar. So if I hit a light or a righteousness next turn, that's another card that deals a chunk of damage to them, which I think is ideal. I think I'm going to draw 2 and hope to hit a righteousness or a light. It's unfortunate. Yep. Beatback not looking particularly useful at the moment. They have another unit to deploy here. They're going to get to attack my hand again. They do not. That's good for me. So I think at this point I need to just go ahead and deploy this. Well, I can't deploy this anywhere is the issue, Pelly. This can't go on either of these. If I had a place to deploy this, I could kill them. You're right. Yeah. So it's a little bit awkward about my champions I've chosen. I think I just deploy this here because this will prevent 2 from lane 2 and lane 4, and it'll prevent their discard thing potentially. It is going to let them trigger the healing on these, but I think that's fine. So this deals 7 and chunks them to 2. They're going to jump back up to 4 next turn. So again, I really want my righteousness or my light of Sigmar here. These champions gaining them health might be the death of me here. The fact that I kind of had to spend my burst to get this down to defend myself. I think I just have to hit. I think I just have to draw 2 here. Yeah, I think I just draw 2 and cross my fingers. There's a good chance I die here, though. Because, like, this is going to chunk me for 3. And then, like, this could hit me. So I'm at 7. And they're going back to 5. But again, if I hit that righteousness or... If I hit the... That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Yeah, I think we're dead. Yeah, these things ended up being a little bit too much for me. And this is gonna gas them back up now too. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and... I think I'm gonna cut my 5th piece of removal for a deal 3. It might even be that I want a couple of those. I've definitely felt light on... I might cut this too even. Because, like, I only have 6 elves with this setup, but, like, Silent Communion and Beatback increase, like, the virtual count, so to speak, because I, like, see more cards. And part of me wonders, so, like, Piercing Shot deals rend damage, so it can't be prevented, but I kind of think Trample Underfoot might just be better, because this basically lets me convert otherwise dead cards into using this as an ability more than once, which has been really useful, even without any other discard synergies. This is 10 units and 8 spells, so I think Silent Communion still hits a decent amount of time there on both. Yeah, let's try that. Because, like, an ideal start Someone at my work is yelling at one of my fellow programmers for not altering the designs we got from their UX experts that we were supposed to make pixel per. One of the ideal starts for this deck are either ability on this lane into a Stormcast unit or any unit into an ability on one of these. This guy's been kind of awkward to quest so far because people haven't been playing into the removal corner on it, but I also haven't really been very good at drawing my beat back so far. What's going on, Scryman? Yeah, I realized I'm very boring. I like went to the gym and I went and took my car for an oil change, and like the weather's kind of like dreary outside and like 55 degrees, so I didn't want to like, it's not like park weather for the kids, so I didn't really want to pick them up super early. The highlight unit is about to be removed. Remove the unit controlled by this champion instead. Interesting. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's definitely something that exists. I feel like they might be playing the guy that deploys things from their graveyard here. So I kind of want to put this here, but maybe I should have put this over here. So that way I kind of, this means by putting my two casters here, I can't deploy the barrier guard on lanes 1 or 2, which means I can't prevent damage from this unit with barrier guard, which could be relevant. Look at that. I predicted which hero they were likely to be playing, and I waited to deploy this guy because this guy explicitly has an ability that impacts spellcasters, so I didn't want them to know this was going to be here because then they might not deploy their spellcaster here. Which again is some of the interesting back and forth that starts in this game even before you've even played a card. My opening hand here is super awkward. I had 3 spells in it to start. I think I just take the opportunity to get this guy questing over here. So I'm going to play this, which completes the first corner and deals the damage. And then I can play tactical removal here, which gets rid of my opponent's thing and completes my second corner. When I adjusted my removal, I went to 2 tactical removal and 2 of the other one. It might be right to go 3-1. I don't know. Tactical removal is like double removal in some spots, although it was worse than the other one would have been here, which is interesting. This turn's actually going to work out. This position's actually going to work out pretty well for me here because this is going to pivot and deal 2, and then this rotates off in 2 turns, which means that next turn I'm going to get to deploy my barrier guard here, which will prevent the 3 damage from this corner. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and play Righteousness here because this will prevent the 2 damage here. So if I prevent the 2 here with this turn, and I prevent the 3 with this here next turn, I've denied my opponent the deal damage corner, making their quest less effective. Rhino! Thank you for the 8 months. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a swell Wednesday wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Now, again, I know which 4 blessings I have, but I don't know where they're under. So I'm hoping that this is one of my blessings that draws cards here, because just dealing a chunk of damage to them is nice in the late game, but I really need some velocity at the moment to, like, really get going. So I'm hoping that this is one of my draw 3 blessings here. 50% chance. Never lucky. So, dealing 7 is, like, good eventually, but it does mean I'm going to have to spend a little bit more effort drawing cards in, like, game actions. So, I'd be further ahead if that had been a different blessing there. Although Silent Communion's a good pickup. That's going to let me, it's going to let me get this questing here, which is nice. Ooh, that's a good deploy for me, too. So, Triumphant Smash here not only removes my opponent's unit on the lane I play it on, but it rotates my unit back. So this is going to remove their Vargeist and flip this guy back to his 3. So he's going to exist here for another turn to prevent damage, making this corner again harder to produce, and it deals another 2. So because you can only take 1 game action per turn, or 2 game actions per turn in this game, anytime a single action can like generate like 2 actions worth of value, you kind of get ahead on tempo, which is nice. All right, and I'm going to grab Hurricane Raptor and this Light of Sigmar. And Hurricane Raptor is going to let me deploy on here next turn to complete corners 2 and 3. And then the Light of Sigmar is going to complete the last one, which is sweet. Yeah, I agree. So I really feel like this game's done a good job of putting the variants in places that don't strictly feel bad. They feel like I have a lot of control over what's going on. Yeah, I would say it's incredibly good for questing there. Deal damage to your opponent, increase it by 1 for each unit in your discard pile up to a maximum of 14. How many units are in here? Just 2, so it doesn't do that much at the moment. You've hit people for the max with that. That's pretty sweet. This card draws them 2. So this is looking to deal 7 to me next turn, potentially. Because there's 2 units in their bin, and this is going to rotate off and be a 3rd. Ooh, that's really good. That's a combo of sorts. This is a removal spell that puts 3 units in their bin. So it's going to kick up the damage on this by a good chunk here. Yeah, I definitely have a better understanding of who's ahead at any given point, but that understanding lessens a bit every time they add cards to the game, so which is probably good for the game, right? Like, I kind of get an understanding of where I'm at, and then, like, a new set drops, and it's just like, oh, where was I again? I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. So this is dealing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to deal 10 to me next turn. So next turn, I am guaranteed to complete this quest by putting this there. I think I'm just going to set myself up to chunk them out again, hopefully. So I'm going to deploy this here, which eventually does 5, and it discourages them from playing a unit here next turn. And then I'm going to deploy this here, which makes any unit they play here dormant, and they currently want to play a unit here because they're on the last quest corner of playing a unit. So this is going to chunk me down to 13. So then I have 5, 8 damage on board. This does 4, and then it's going to complete this quest, which could do up to another 6 here. So this thing, when it comes into play, deploys a Risen unit from their discard pile onto an adjacent unit. So this is going to deploy something from their discard pile onto here, which will complete their quest, but this also won't do anything because this is here making it dormant. So this quest deals 2, 3, and 3. So this is gonna, so they have 6 more damage on board. So over the next 2 turns. So again, you can kind of count back and forth how much damage they're dealing based on the onboard stuff. So they have 6 here and 2 here. So they have 8 damage on the board. It's gonna be another close game again. You have to go ahead and deploy this here, which completes this quest and deals 4. Survey says. This draws 3, okay. And possibly deals damage. And then I haven't done anything yet. And again, I talked about this earlier, Trample Underfoot being good just because it converts extra cards into damage. So I can play Trample Underfoot here to deal 3, and then this lets me discard a card from my hand to pick it back up. Yeah, I would play Ant Bacon. That would be a fine one. So then my opponent's at 9. I'm taking 4 here. Oh, they get to deploy a unit from here. I might die here, depending on what's in their hand. It's going to be really close. So I'm taking a guaranteed 4 from these two. So I'm basically at, I'm taking a guaranteed 4 here. And then this is dealing 3 to me. So I'm ending up at 4. So they need to deal 4 more points of damage with their 2 actions. And if they can't, I have them dead next turn. I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with this in my hand. So they need to either kill me or have a removal spell. If they have a removal spell and they remove this, I am gonna come up short because I can only deal 2, 5 next turn, and then I die the following turn. So it depends on what their last bits of goodies are here. Great. Well, they haven't. This tank here could mean they had something else come up, but it could mean they can't kill me but have removal. Okay, this does 3. Do they have 1 more? Do you have 1 more? Because they know about this. Nice, we got him. So this puts them to 10, and then this does 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yikes. Oh, and this does 1 more. So we actually have them over. We have them dead by 1. This game have a well-developed meta. There's decks that you'll see people play across from each other, but the community's kind of small for this game, so I'd be very surprised if everything optimal's been finished. Like, for instance, this is a deck I was thinking about while I was eating lunch today, and I put it together as a new deck idea, and we've lost 1 game with it and 5 so far. Someone had linked something. If you wanted deck ideas to start with, this is something someone had posted that, I don't know, I had played some of these that they thought these were deck lists that someone had been playing a bunch, thought were like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 in the current format, but they just had a new set released for this game, so again, I'd be surprised if all of those are guaranteed to stay good, if they're actually optimal, etc. I think we've also, like, I think this is our 6th game this afternoon, and I think this is the 5th different deck we've played against. So, I think I want to put these, so this is the Sylvanth deck, so my opponent's primary units are going to be dealing damage, are going to be on these 3 lanes here, which I think means I want to deploy the Lochian Prince here, because Lochian Prince can deploy my Barrier Guard, which will protect from these 3 lanes. And I think I want to put my other Prince over here. And then where I want this and this to go are going to be dictated by which unit they put here, which champion they put here, and which champion they put here. Did they errata power the WOG? Ooh, they're playing a different deck than I was expecting, because they've got 2 1-drops. So this is a different lineup. Okay, so this is not what I was expecting from my opponent. Interesting. So they're playing something new as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy here because my spell that removes things only removes units, so I wanted to cross from a warrior. And then this Dorko gets to deploy here, and he can remove spells from people. So I definitely want him near a spellcaster. And I wouldn't be too surprised if this is a spellcaster too. So this guy could potentially chunk through multiple spells, which is sweet. Once per game, this guy can remove the spell across from him and any kitty corner. God, it's like Silent Communion in the opener feels really busted. It's like, what if I got to like cast a sweet cantrip? I might just be using this on turn 1 just to get rid of their metamorphosis. Just like slowing down their velocity a ton seems appealing. So I have 2 units in my hand, which means there's 8 in my deck, so hoping for the doubles on this as always. Want to see a unit and a spell. Good, and we saw both, so I get to go ahead and grab the Barrier Guard. And the Light of Sigmar. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and hit this champion ability to start. Get my once per game in and get my 1-for-1 basically. Once per game, take your spell away. Bye, Felicia. Alright, they're just getting set up here, so that's good for us. And then this locks my opponent out of playing things on this lane, and it completes quests 2 and 3 over the next 2 turns, which is good for me. I think I'm just going to go ahead and draw a card here. I think my next turn's probably going to be play Raptor number 2 here, plus play Silent Communion, depending on what they do. If they get set up to deal damage next turn, I might do this. Oh, that's bad for me. It's a good play on the opponent's part. So this prevents the 2 damage here, which means I don't get to complete this quest corner. Good solid disruption from them. Where'd Bye Felicia come from? Kids these days. Is that a Mean Girls reference? I think it's a Mean Girls reference, if I recall correctly. Alright, so I think I just want to keep questing those. So I think I'm going to get Barrier Guard down here to discourage them from going off next turn. And then I can play Silent Communion here to complete the next one. Is it one of the Fridays movies? It might be. It's some really old movie. And by really old, I mean it's kind of old. That sucks that I missed on finding an Aelf unit. I was hoping Digging 4 would find me an Aelf unit. So I need specifically an Aelf unit to complete the last quest here. But it does eventually get us closer to one, so that's nice, I guess. So, like, my sequencing plan here, I think, is deploy this here next turn. So that way I can complete the damage quest, and then this will complete the spell quest in 2 turns. I think they're... Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because it means I don't get to complete the damage quest here. Huh. So, now I think this changes... Yeah, the skulls in the middle are game actions left. So I think this changes my lineup here. I think I go ahead and deploy this here to stop this from questing. And then these, I can complete this quest over the next 2 turns by playing these out. So I can play this here this turn. And then I can play this here again next turn, and each turn... Am I disconnected or something? Yeah, it looks like it's lagging. So this deals damage. Didn't have any frame drops, right? Then this deals damage, and dealing damage completes the damage quest, and this rotates off after a turn, so next turn I get to deploy another one and complete that quest. And then hopefully, again, I'm hoping that this quest here is one of my 2 quests that draws 3 cards, because drawing 3 cards could give me the velocity to hit an Aelf to complete this next quest here. So I always want to hit my draw 3 quests early, so that way they can snowball me into completing more quests. Like, obviously, if I hit my one that deals a chunk of damage, it's like still good, but it's less good than hitting my draw 3s first. Now, they could possibly finish questing here. If they have a removal spell, they could remove this, but that's not really super appealing for them to do, because this doesn't do anything else. So playing a removal here would complete their quest, but that's all it does is complete their quest. So I wasn't going to be on, and then I was bored, and I was going to play some of this anyway, so I decided to come on and play for a bit. So I decided if I was going to play this anyways, I might as well stream it. This card's kind of scary. Whenever they discard a card, they get to deal extra damage to me. I think I'm not going to be on for long. This might actually be my last game, because I do still need to build deck lists for tomorrow. Come on, draw 3. Poppy needs a draw 3. That's a deal 6. Yikes. I guess I just draw 1, and I'm hoping to draw an Aelf unit. So ideally, I think I'm already through 1 barrier guard. Ideally, my top card's a barrier guard here, because if I hit a barrier guard, I'll be able to do this here, which will prevent this, and it'll complete this quest. That's another beat back. Yikes. So that's really unfortunate for me, because it means I'm now 2 turns at a minimum away from completing this quest, because I need to draw next turn, and then I need to deploy the turn after. Yeah, it was still good. It was just less good than it otherwise could have been with a draw 3, right? So this turn, again, I just have to take off, really hoping to hit an Aelf unit. God, I bricked again. That's really unlucky for me. Because, like, I know the bottom 3 cards of my deck are not Aelfs. Yeah, I agree. I really like that you draw at the end of your turn. We might just be dead here. I really like that you draw at the end of your turn, because it lets you kind of plan out what you're going to have going on. It's what this game calls elves, basically. They call them elves. I believe they're gonna pseudo combo kill me here, which is unfortunate. Oh, I'm still at 7. All right. Well, I'm going to 5 next turn. I'm just dead, right? Yeah, I'm actually just dead. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, we're deterministically dead. So this deals 2, and I know they have the card that deals 3 in their hand, and this lets them discard an extra card to deal damage with it. Yeah, we were close. I'll play 1 more. Let's try and end on a high note. So what are the... And again, it's possible that the mix of what's in my deck is not ideal. It's like, again, I was trying to hit one of my elf units to finish questing there, so like, is only 6 elf units enough, even with the beatbacks have kind of been gumming up. I might cut one of these. Just like, add another elf. Damage to your opponent increased by 1 if the champion costs 2 or less. When a highlighted unit is removed, you gain 2. That could be okay. It deals 3 and gives me some health back. This deals damage faster, which is nice. It rotates through. Yeah, just add one of those back in. Yeah, the opponent's deck is a pseudo combo deck for sure. Yeah, that dynamic gets changed though with things like Communion though, Pelly. And the other metric, and again, this is what makes the deck building so deep and interesting in this game, is like the cantrips and cards that see more cards change that dynamic, and where the corner is changes that dynamic. So for instance, here on this card, I need specifically that Elf unit to complete the 4th corner, but because it's the 4th corner, I can play fewer of them in theory because it comes up later. So they're probably, this setup probably means they don't have any wizards this game. They're a Gordak deck. I kind of don't like to play this out, but I prefer if they have another Riptooth Mega Boss, I'd like them to deploy it here and not here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I ended up putting it over here where I didn't want it to go. Because this guy quests faster when he removes a unit. So, like, ideally, actually, if I was expecting them to have another Riptooth Mega Boss, and this is one of the things that's good, bad, frustrating about the game when you're learning, is like, I think I've made a mistake this game that I'm going to have to live with for the entire game, and we didn't even play any cards. I think because I identified that they could have a second Riptooth Mega Boss, I shouldn't have played this over here, because ideally I'd like this to end up across from a Mega Boss, because this doesn't deploy units, which makes the text on this card less good. So I basically put myself at a disadvantage for this game by not fully thinking through the initial positioning of what's going on. Which I really wish they had best of 3 in this client, because I would really love chances to like make up for mistakes like that while without having to like randomly re-queue into the same person. We have a good start here, though. The Communion into Hurricane Raptor into Spell here quests this very quickly. Yeah, the best of 3 is actually really sweet in the paper version. So this game company, actually I haven't talked about that today, but part of the reason I've been playing more is they are doing a series of cash tournaments around the United States and parts of the UK, and those tournaments are going to use their best of 3 format. And their best of 3 format, you get 5 champions to deploy. And you get 5 champions in your deck, and you pick which 4 you deploy it based on like seeing how your opponent's playing out too. So there's more strategical depth in that system even too, which is awesome. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and deploy Righteousness here, because it's gonna deal damage to complete this quest, and it prevents the 2 damage from this here, denying them this this corner, which is nice. I just go ahead and draw a card. Again, anytime you can both advance your game plan while simultaneously slowing down what the opponent's doing, it's a good turn. And again, this is like the perfect card to draw. I wanted to draw this or another Righteousness. So this deploys here to complete this corner. And then notably, this is going to prevent the 2 damage from here again. So I'm going to again deny them this corner here. And I've effectively negated all the damage this card stood to do while still forwarding my own game plan. So I could deploy this here to complete this quest. But this is going to turn and deal damage next turn, which means I want to play an ability here because I want this damage to complete this 3rd corner ideally. And then I have more units than abilities in my deck, so part of me wants to keep this, but Hurricane Raptor's like a really premium unit in the disruption it gives, so I think I just let it go. So this'll turn and deal nothing because of this. And then again, I really wish there was a third blessing I could play to draw cards. And like, I've played blessings that there's a blessing that draws 2, but there's not a third draw 3. If there was a third draw 3, because like, you really want the first blessing you flip up in this deck to draw you cards, basically. What on God's green earth does this do? When you discard this card from an effect, discard the top card, discard 2 cards from your hand to deal damage and draw a card. All right, so I'm going to deploy this here and hope to draw 2. Or draw 3, sorry. God, I'm so bad at that. I might change up Woodshaw. Change that third blessing. Oh, there's the... Yeah, they have a Bellowing Voice. They have a card that triggers heroic abilities. So they're going to chunk me for 10 next turn, right? But I think that's fine. They're jumping for like 15. I think I draw a card here, hoping to hit an elf. And I did, sweet. So this is going to finish this quest over here next turn. So they could do a huge amount of damage here, but I'm at 31, so it's really not a big deal. Oh, they're going to complete their quest over here. Wow, that's really good. Because they did damage, ability. Now this is going to deal... No, wait. This can't complete two at the same time, right? Yeah. So there's a rule that says a single card can only complete 1 quest corner per turn. So they can't finish this because this already completed corner 2. So the same card can't complete corners 2 and 4 in the same turn. So I get to deploy, and then this card is going to make this dormant, which means this can't complete this corner next turn either for them, which is good for me. Yep, there's a draw 3. Oh, that heals me for spells, too. I forgot it heals me for spells. I haven't played that card in a spell deck before. So, they're at 8. I think I want to play a raptor here. This might be wrong. And this is going to be one of the spots where tactical formation's really good, because tactical formation is going to let me rotate this into a corner that doesn't do anything because it's a heroic act. So I'm basically going to get a 2-for-1 with this. It's going to let me remove something else while also effectively removing this. And they can't do anything with this turn, which is nice. Okay. And this isn't doing anything next turn. I feel like we're actually in an okay spot here. This game is close again, but it feels like we're in an okay spot. So this pivots here. And then I get to put this here. I'm going to play this here to remove this card. And then this requires me to rotate one of their other things. So I'm going to rotate this one, but this doesn't actually do anything unless they activate it. And because I'm rotating it here, on their next turn, it's going to rotate off. So the way this could go poorly for me is if my opponent has a beast and a card that deals damage immediately next turn, because they could potentially flip up this blessing here. I also might be a little bit slow here because I'm not killing them for 2 turns. Yeah, so this kills me next turn, most likely. Well, I guess it depends. It depends on what this blessing is. If this blessing deals damage, I very likely die. I guess I just deploy this and draw a card and hope it works out. So they can activate this, discard a card, deal 5. That flips me to 3, and then it depends on what this blessing does. I guess they could also have a card that just like deals 3. Oh, that kills me. So this is going to get... If they have the right ogre in their deck, I should be dead here. There's an ogre that's a beast. Oh, that deals 2. Yeah, I'm definitely dead. So they have one that deals 1. Alright, I'm going to be done for the day. That was fun. I put my deck together and it was like... a little over 50%, and like almost every game we played was like it was really close, and I definitely had not quite an optimal mix of things to start, and still not quite sure if we had an optimal mix, but the fact that there's so many close games does really make me wish their best of 3 mode was in their client, just because like, you know, with these razor thin margins, I would like a chance to like redeem myself in some of these games. One thought and what I have going on with this deck, I'm not sure if Frenzied Order here as a deal 7 is better than Tides of Death, just because this lets me draw 2 cards. Because I really feel like I often want the first quest I complete to draw me cards. So I feel like I could possibly be in a better spot if, you know, I was 75% to hit a blessing that draws cards in the first try rather than just 50%. So I might try swapping this out and putting this in as Tides of Death. And like obviously it doesn't draw 3 like Beastly Leap and Life Blast do, but like drawing 2 and then it like gets me some tempo on deploying things like isn't irrelevant. Alright, is that it? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get some stuff done around the house and build some decks. I'm planning to be live all day tomorrow with Magic Arena stuff. If you check out the deck queue, I've already filled in a bunch of the decks they're going to be playing to start tomorrow, and then I'm going to be filling in more of the rest of them later this afternoon, this evening. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch all of y'all around later. Remember, if you thought this game was interesting, you can check it out on iOS, Android, Steam, and also in paper too, which is sweet. And there's an intro video I made here a while back that's still applicable to how to play the game, as well as the quick rules document. And the client, when you download it, teaches you how to play a little bit and holds your hand a little bit. I also did a stream with this last week and a couple last year. All the ones from last year, the client looks very different. They've done updates since then. So if you want to see more gameplay for myself, you can find that on my YouTube channel. And if you didn't see all of this one today, we went for almost 2 hours. I'm going to upload all of this to YouTube here, and it'll be up later today. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll catch all y'all around later.